Hey guys, this is Svetlana from Kamu Cosplay and this is Zelda, and today I'm going to show you how to build Sombra's gun from Overwatch. Boop! Just like you wanted, everything was made by hand with cheap EVA foam. As a base for my gun, Benny made a blueprint with Adobe Illustrator. You can find a download in the video description. Also check out this video on how to make blueprints by yourself. And now it's time to buy some books! If you want to get into costume and prop making, check out my newest book, The Costume Making Guide, which you can find on Amazon and in my shop. And it's delicious! And now, let's get started! Boop! When I saw the Sombra introduction at this year's BlizzCon, I knew immediately that I wanted to build her weapon. I mean, look at her, the design is just awesome! And that's my reference. First, Benny created a detailed blueprint in Adobe Illustrator. Then he printed it out in life size. I cut everything out and checked if it fits into my hand. This should work. To get a good base shape, I separated the blueprint into a couple of pieces. Additionally, I cut out a few extra details for the upcoming layers. My main material was high-density EVA foam. To find it, just click on the link in the video description. Next, I transferred the main shape onto 10mm EVA foam. I used my x-acto knife to cut out two identical pieces. A thin layer of contact cement on both was enough to glue them together. Since the edges were a little bit rough, I cleaned them up with my dremel. For the detail layers, I mainly used 5mm EVA foam. I transferred and cut out some additional handle parts and then beveled the edges. Even higher details were made with another 2mm foam piece on top. As always, I just used contact cement for this. After this, I cleaned up the edges and glued the first pieces onto my base shape. For most of the individual parts, I only had to trace the patterns onto foam, cut them out, sanded them a bit and attached them piece by piece to the gun. The magazine at the bottom was made with 10mm EVA foam. I added some deep cuts and used my heat gun to open them up again. Then I added some 2mm of foam on top. Some details were actually quite delicate, so I took my time sanding them. The barrel at the front was a little bit more tricky. I glued together three 10mm foam pieces for the base. Next, I marked where I had to get rid of the material and sanded this part slowly into the right shape. For the muzzle, I used PVC pipes in different diameters. I sawed them into the right length, dremeled one end nice and sharp, and simply used it to drill a hole into the barrel. After this, I got rid of some more foam, added additional details, and simply glued the barrel pieces in. A little more here and there, and this part was done as well. For the deep squares on the gun side, I added a 2mm foam piece. My result wasn't perfect, so maybe you'll find a better solution. This weird thing on the back was made out of three 5mm layers. I attached some 2mm details all around and glued the finished piece to the body. At this time, I also connected the barrel. To prevent the magazine from breaking off, I added a little piece of wood inside. The spine thing on the top was tricky to make. First, I built something like a rail, dremeled it into shape and cut it into tiny pieces. Afterwards, I glued them on with some space in between. This turned out great! Then there was also this weird extra barrel on the side. To build it, I just used a piece of foam and some PVC pipe. Now, before I could keep on working, I wanted to clean up the layers with some putty first. Once it was dry enough, I sanded it down. The end of the grip was simply a square with a hole in it. I slid it over and dremeled away some more material afterwards. The trigger guard was out of 5mm EVA foam. This allowed me to cut and sand more precise. Next, I just added a trigger and this part was done. So far, so good. Now some last details. As you can guess, I used my dremel quite a lot. Having all kinds of different tips was really helpful here. I added screws, holes and some last foam elements. Finally, I grabbed some transfer art for the plastic part on the side. The rear side on top was just a few foam pieces and some transfer art as well. Okay, we're almost done. To prepare the foam for painting, I heat sealed the surface with my hot air gun. This step is pretty important and helps getting a smooth and clean surface. Since heating also opens foam seams, then use the rubber called Kwikseal to close the last gaps. And Sombra's gun was done! Ta-da! Whoop. So hopefully this was helpful, and in the next video we're gonna show you how to paint the gun. If you still have any questions, let me know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time, bye bye!